Hi, I'm Lisa and welcome to Creative Bird Studio. I do apologise if this video is a bit dark or a bit shadowy. It's not the normal time of day that I would do a video, but I thought I was doing something, so I might as well film it. So something that has been a bit of a revelation for me since I discovered junk journaling has been that my whole life I have been throwing away my cereal boxes and I have been buying cardboard. So what I actually do now is when I have an empty cereal box is I cut the big sides out and I just keep them in a stack. So when I've got a project like this where I need a bit of cardboard, I just get them out and use those instead of buying lots of cardboard. So this afternoon I was watching a video by Luise Heinzl, and she was making her own faux paper buttons. Her process was a little bit different to mine. Her process was to use pages of an old book and glue several pages together to get the thickness, and then cut those out with a punch, a circle punch. However, I thought I would just be a bit sneaky and try and make it a bit quicker for myself and just stick some printables onto a piece of card. So that's what I'm going to try. So I have no idea if this is going to work out or not, but I thought I would bring you along for the ride just in case, and we'll see how it goes. So what I'm doing, I've printed some printables out that I've chosen that have rather small areas of text and then interesting areas of lace and bits and pieces. So I thought that might look nice on a little button. So that's what I've chosen to use. And I just want to make sure that's really nice and stuck down so that when I cut the circles out of this, it's not going to come apart. So I'm just going to tear these edges and tear this one. Now the purpose of these little repurposed buttons was that instead of putting a normal button inside your journal as a embellishment, having the thickness of that button, you would be able to use these and they would give you the effect of having a button but not so much of the bulk of the thickness of the button. So these are going to be quite thin, which won't bulk up your journal as much. Just glue this one. I'm trying to make sure that I hit all the areas there. It's a bit difficult with the white, but I think it's okay. And I'm just sort of choosing the bits of the paper that I think are going to work best. And my printer, this paper that I've printed this printable on, actually, just a side note, is butcher paper. So I buy this in a pad of paper from a shop we have in Australia called Officeworks, and it's just basically an office supply store for stationery and stuff like that. And I look in the kids section where all the kids paper pads and drawing things are, and I get this kids butcher paper, and I buy it in A3 because it's more economical, and then I just cut it into A4, and I like to print on it because to me, just put a bit more glue here, to me it's a very similar texture and consistency to like the pages of a book. It's almost see-through, and it just has this sort of off-white colour, and yeah, I just like to use it. I might actually just going to cut this one because I've got a pair of scissors here. I like to use that for this kind of a thing. Just cut that one. My printer as you can see, doesn't really enjoy printing on it. And I mean, because I have glued onto the side of the box that had all of the writing on it, you can see a little bit through, but you can't really make out what it was underneath. And you could glue it to this side if you like. It's just that when they're finished, I want the back side of them to look nice. So that's why I've done that. I will link these printables below as to where I purchased them from, in case you are interested. I haven't, normally I would mention who it is, but I don't have my piece of paper in front of me because this was a very impromptu video. So these are the ones that I've done. I've done a couple before I started filming. This is just a nice shabby chic kind of a one. And then this one, I actually know which this one is. This is a free printable from Artymaze. So I will link that below as well, and also this one, because they're from different places. So that's the first step. That's probably all I'll get done today. So I'll come back with the next part and can see what I'm going to do with them. Okay, so I am back to do the next part. I did go ahead and cut some out and give some a try over the last couple of days. So there is a few over here. I'm not sure if you can see. Hopefully you can see those that have been cut from this paper, which is the Artymaze one. And I'm just going to quickly go through the process of how I did these, just to show you. Now, the video I was inspired by, Luise was using quite a small circle, so more similar to this size. However, my punch that's that size is very difficult for me to punch through my cardboard. So I have chosen to use a slightly larger circle, which is this one, which is roughly 2.5 centimeters. And because it is a slightly larger circle, I did decide to use this button as a template to make a button with 4 holes. And this is my little template one that I've been using to draw the holes on all of the others. And this punch is a lot easier to use because it has this little lever, whereas my much smaller one doesn't have a lever and it's very hard to punch through card. So I've been using this punch, and I've just been sort of looking through this little window here to see how I want my little button to look. There we go. I actually have another punch here to the side, which is the same size, but it's this different kind of lever, and actually that one might be a little bit easier again. Let's try. There we go, that's good. So I just cut some of those out from the paper, from any little bits that I think will be interesting. A couple of these ones. So the next step after I've done that is get my little black pen, pop it over and just draw those 4 circles in for the buttonholes. Now if you don't have a punch to punch these buttonholes, there is a couple of options. If you have a paper piercing tool or an awl, you could use that, or even a very thick sewing needle would be able to be poked through to make a hole. If you have a crocodile for card making, you could possibly punch the hole with your small setting on your crocodile. So there's a couple of options there. Show you what I've been using in just a moment. Just do a couple of these. I'm not going to do them all on camera. I'm just so that you can get the idea of the process. Okay, there we go. Yeah. So this is what I've been using, which is just a little circle punch. And the good thing about this punch is it actually punches quite flat. So I don't know if you can see there, the back is, that's the back side of where I've punched, and it's completely flat, whereas some other options for punching these holes you would end up with a bit of a lump on the other side. So it's just, so I just poke that in there. It helps to use the black pen because I can see a little bit better, but they're not all lined up perfectly, but we're not going for perfect here. There we go. And the thing that I really liked about how these came out with using the printable, which is kind of like a printable collage sheet, is that I've got quite a nice variety of pictures on the buttons, whereas if I just did a book page, all I've got is book page buttons, but I've got some with cursive writing, some with different kinds of cursive writing, and then I've got bits with lace and a little stamp on this one. So I like how they've come out quite different. So I've just got my vintage photo ink, and I'm just going to distress the edges. So to do that, I'd literally just brush it over the edge and spin it as I'm going. I like that nice dark edge on it. Just really finishes it off and makes it look a bit more vintage. And then leaving it a bit lighter in the middle. Okay, so that's those. And then I have been using this liquid glass. It's from Close to My Heart, but there's lots of different versions of this. Another one you can get is called Glossy Accents. And the way that I've been doing it is just, first you have to unclog the nozzle. Somewhere here I have a pin. So I just poke my pin in there a few times. And then just try and do like a thin line in the middle. Then I go around those circles in the center there, my little holes, and then pretty much give it a good squeeze and a nice good thick coat around the edge. And then I just set that aside to dry. It takes probably the most part of a day. These ones I did last night and left them overnight, and they were dry by this morning, so they do need a good few hours of undisturbed time to set. There we go. I'm just going to do those two for now. So those just need to set, and then when they have set, hopefully you can see that they come out with this beautiful glossy shine on the surface, which just really finishes them off, and I think they will make a really nice embellishment for a journal. Don't have much hanging around on my desk at the moment. This piece of lace here. lot happening around here at the moment. I've got this little vellum envelope. So if I just wanted a simple decoration for this little envelope, I might pop a little piece of that there and then simply just glue one of these buttons on top. The holes are also big enough that if I wanted to poke through a little bit of string and tie it off, that would look really good too. A couple of bits of paper behind to make a little cluster could also be very cute, and it's just a lot thinner than if I was going to use, say, a button like this in my journal. It's quite thick, it's going to add a lot of bulk, whereas this is much thinner, which is also what Luise Heinzl shows in her video as well, is that these are great for using inside your journals because they're nice and flat. And I actually am really impressed with how they came out. I really like them, and I've made quite a few little packs, which I will be having available for sale in my Made It shop. If anyone is interested to go over there and have a look, I will leave the link below. So they will just be put together like this. There's 6 assorted little buttons from each of the, I tried to vary the designs so you get one of each different kind of one in the packet, but I will take individual photos to show what's in each one, and you can choose which one you might like. So they'll be available there. The other thing I was just going to quickly show is just some different kinds of finishes that I tried. So I did try a couple of different finishes on some of them just to see what they would come out like. The first one I tried was Dusty Attic Clear Crackle Varnish. Now this is great for using in mixed media and getting that crackle look, but on these little buttons it wasn't overly effective because, as you can see, it kind of caused my glue to pop up. In fact, that whole thing will just easily peel off there. Possibly because I used a glue stick in the first instance, and I maybe still be able to just use a stronger glue and glue that back down and then ink the edges and it will be fine. But I just think, although it has its uses, this probably isn't it, so I probably won't do that again. This is another similar version of the liquid glass called Diamond Glaze. I'm not sure where I picked this one up actually, it's just from a craft shop. This one was quite clogged up and I had a lot of trouble trying to get it out of the container, and you probably can't see, but there's quite a lot of little bubbles, which is probably from me squeezing it so much trying to get the stuff to come out. So if I was comparing these two, I'd probably go with the liquid glass because it's much easier to get out. The other one I tried was Seth Apter Vintage Beeswax embossing powder. I recently bought this because I saw Cori Dahmen uses this a lot, and she loves the vintage look that it gives. I was also quite impressed with this one. Something interesting happened on this button, is that you can actually see parts of the cereal box colour. As soon as I heat embossed it, the cereal box pattern came through, but you still can't tell what it is, but just added a little bit more of interest to that button, which was a bit of a surprise. I think I'm off camera there we go. So that's those. So that does give a really nice, it's more of a sort of matte vintage look, and I probably will do a bunch with this as well because it gives a different finish to the shiny, but it's also quite nice. So these are the shiny surface, and then these are the Seth Apter ones. And the other glazes I tried ultra thick embossing enamel, which is this one here, and it gave kind of a mottled finish. I think possibly I could do more coats on that. I just ran out of time and didn't get back to it before filming. And then the last one was Amazing Glaze, which looks like I picked this one up at a garage sale for $3, so I thought I'd give it a go. And it's very similar to the ultra thick. It's kind of a bubbly finish, but again, it's quite nice. I'll definitely be able to use those ones as well. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you can go away and experiment and see what you have to make some buttons for yourself as well. And yeah, if you like this video, please hit the thumbs up, and I'd love it if you would subscribe to my channel. Thank you.